China is giving Russia significant support to expand weapons manufacturing as Ukraine war continues, U.S. officials say. China is helping Russia ramp up its defense industrial base at such a large scale that Moscow is now undertaking its most ambitious expansion in military manufacturing since the Soviet era as it continues its war against Ukraine, according to senior Biden administration officials. The support China is providing includes significant quantities of machine tools, drone and turbojet engines and technology for cruise missiles, microelectronics, and nitrocellulose, which Russia uses to make propellant for weapons, said the officials. Chinese and Russian entitles have also been working jointly to produce drones inside of Russia, one of the officials said. The support from China is having a significant impact on Russia's ability to continue its assault on Ukraine, while Ukraine's military has been plagued with equipment and weapon shortages. The challenge for Ukraine is exacerbated by Republicans in the U.S. Congress continuing to block a vote on a new American military aid package to Kyiv. One of the most game-changing moves available to us at this time to support Ukraine is to persuade the PRC, People's Republic of China, to stop helping Russia reconstitute its military-industrial base. Russia would struggle to sustain its war effort without PRC inputs, said a senior administration official, adding that Chinese materials are filling critical gaps in Russia's defense production cycle. Just this week, Chris Cavalli, the commander of U.S. European Command, told lawmakers that Russia has been quite successful at reconstituting its military since it invaded Ukraine more than 2 years ago, and its capacity has largely grown back to what it was before the invasion. U.S. officials are now making clear that China is largely responsible for that rapid buildup. As a demonstration of this deepening China-Russia partnership, in 2023, 90% of Russia's microelectronics imports came from China, which Russia has used to produce missiles, tanks, and aircraft, a second official said. And Russia's rapidly expanding production of artillery rounds is due, in large part, to the nitrocellulose coming from China, officials said. This comes as Russia appears on track to produce nearly 3 times more artillery munitions than the US and Europe, CNN reported earlier this year. Beyond the defense hardware, China is helping Russia to improve its satellite and other space-based capabilities for use in Ukraine and providing imagery to Russia for its war on Ukraine, the officials said. Some of this information comes from downgraded U.S. intelligence, officials said. The support from China is compensating for the significant setbacks that Russia's defense industry experienced early in the Ukraine war due to U.S. sanctions and export controls. President Joe Biden raised concerns about China's support for Russia's defense industrial base in a phone call with Chinese President Xi Jinping earlier this month, following other officials repeatedly raising the concerns with their Chinese counterparts, officials said. Secretary of State Antony Blinken also raised the matter with U.S. allies during his recent Europe trip, the officials said. The U.S. has not seen any interruption to the ongoing Chinese support since that Biden-Xi phone call, though sometimes it takes time to see changes come to fruition. China continues to steer clear of providing Russia with lethal weaponry, which the U.S. has warned against since the beginning of the Ukraine war, but in many cases the inputs can be just as impactful as lethal weaponry. U.S. officials said it is imperative for the U.S. and its allies to persuade China to stop this practice, though success will be hard to measure. Earlier this year she heralded a new year of growing coordination with Russia during a call with President Vladimir Putin. Earlier this month, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen delivered China a warning of the significant consequences if Chinese companies provide support to Russia for the Ukraine war during her trip to the country. The Biden administration also issued an executive order targeting third-country banks that facilitate support to the Russian defense industrial base, and following that action the U.S. has been in touch with banks around the world to build up compliance systems to avoid inadvertently being caught up in this trade, which would result in U.S. sanctions.